Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan. Today I'm playing on Straight Ahead again, and I am on the NATO side. I'm playing against a guy called Nixon, who I'd played previously to this, who I beat him before by sniping his command vehicle. I told him not to lead with his command vehicle this time, and basically it's sort of like a rematch. So anyway, I'm going to commentate from my point of view as I do normally, and I'm going to go over my strategy. So I wanted to go for a push heavy strategy, one where you move forward your command vehicles from your original starting area. As you can see, I have deleted my FOB. That frees up 100 points, and if you're going to move away from your base area, it's not much use having a FOB, so I get rid of that. This Sultan and these two chaparrals were going to sit back while this group here moved forwards. Now this Sultan, covered by two Marder Roland 2s and a Lux, was going to travel all the way up to Foxtrot. Now on this map, as you can see, it's a pretty big map. There's quite a lot of strategic opportunities, but I felt that if I got into Foxtrot with this hedge here, if I poked him into there, then I can pull in reinforcements from this area here and go straight towards his base if he has still got that command sector captured. And that was the plan. And now as soon as they got a reasonable way up and my Gazelle I was like happy that my Gazelle hadn't spotted anything threatening, I could then move up this Sultan to Hotel for more points basically. It also means that with two command vehicles really close together, it makes an easy defensive line. And with these Fuchs and Lux, I was going to hold basically strategic points like this forest up here and this bigger forest down here. These Fuchs are actually carrying Jaegers, which are 1 veterancy, and the reason I've done this was to test out their ability to, well, stay in the fight for longer. Because I've always found with Jaegers, especially when they come under like rocket attack from helicopters, they really suffer on morale and they end up routing really quickly. So I thought if I give them 1 or 2 veterancy, I was just testing out at this point, but you can see it actually helps quite a bit, even though they don't actually see much action throughout the game. So anyway, the game starts, and I actually have a lot of points left over at this point. You can see I haven't bought many units at all. It's a very light start, and I've obviously got my Gazelle with my 2 Gazelle cannons. This is something I really like doing now because it allows you to basically take care of anything you spot with these Gazelle cannons without having to sacrifice your recon helicopter, because you can get a recon helicopter with rockets, but they're not very accurate and reliable. So you're better off just bringing in a couple of these guys, which I think cost 25 each, and they do a really good job. Anyway, this time I go up to check to see if he's leading with his command vehicle again, and all I spot is a Strop and a couple of Topaz 2As, which are the they basically carry the Czech Motostrzelcy, I think it is. That's kind of pronounced differently, but they have the Topazes with the recoilless rifles on them, and obviously a recon vehicle. So with that, I think that maybe that was the start of his force. So I pull my Gazelles round in between it, because I thought maybe his force would be following it. But all I spot is a FOB on its own, and when I do spot that, I make sure this Gazelle goes and lands by it, because if there was anything around this area, then I wouldn't be able to capture the FOB by landing a helicopter by it. But if not, then it wouldn't matter, and I can get my men from the reinforcement point of Foxtrot to the FOB, and I'll be in a really easily defensive position. So anyway, my Sultan's getting up to Foxtrot, and considering that made it that far, you can see that I've eventually fast moved my Sultan up to Hotel. If he had any helicopters come around the back, probably would have got caught out then. You can see one of my Gazelles gets caught out by some AA up here, which is, I figured, where his base command vehicle was. So anyway, I landed the Gazelle cannon, and as you can see, I captured the FOB. And afterwards, I decide not to just leave it there, so I bring it back with my Gazelle and get it out of the way. My Lux and Jaegers have taken up their defensive positions along this line here, in case anyone's pushing across into Foxtrot and Hotel. My Sultan is just about getting into Hotel there, and you can see I'm finally bringing in some reinforcements from the Foxtrot reinforcement point. As you can see, they're going straight to the FOB. Now this VAB here is actually carrying sappers. Now sappers are infantry with flamethrowers, and since I had like a theory that Zippos, because they can't fire out of their line of sight now, I thought that maybe sappers would be better for flushing out infantry out of forests, but honestly I don't think they'd work very well. The good thing about a Zippo is that when you start firing on a squad of like VPZU or something like that, which is quite like infantry based, like infantry or anti-infantry infantry, if that makes any sense. Obviously a Zippo doesn't matter because they don't take infantry fire from machine guns. But if it's anything like my sappers, then they get absolutely owned by the VPZU, so that really sucks. Anyway, you can see here I've just brought in some Jaegers and that VOB with the sappers in it, and I unload them just basically to defend that FOB, and if he tries to attack it, he would just get absolutely slaughtered because my men would be reinforced all the time. So yeah, anyway, the Zippos are good, I think. I think they're better than the sappers because Zippos, it takes the infantry time to fire the rockets at the Zippos, whereas if you attack them with a sapper squad, then they can fire instantly with their machine guns, and generally they take them out before they can even be effective with the flamethrower. Now on here on the right you can see that I managed to shoot down a Recon MI8 and or I think it was an MI9, and my Marder Roland 2s take care of that quite easily. I'm not sure if he spotted my Sultan from that, but I was just happy to get rid of his command or his recon helicopter. Over on the left you can see that my Gazelles have spotted a small force of Su-122 54s. These are kind of, well, they're extremely cheap, as you can see, 15 each. They do have a high HE power, which makes them good for stopping infantry rushes, but other than that they are very specific units. You shouldn't necessarily spam them. However, this guy brings in a lot of them to this battle. Now over here you can see that one of my Fuchs gets caught out. He was basically going to go and defend the top of Echo, so that if they sent these vehicles down this road, that they would get stuck at Echo trying to fend off against my Jaegers. Anyway, with that destroyed, I send in a cannon just to harass him and to see if there's any significant AA, and of course a Strop shoots me down and it gets instantly resupplied by these supply trucks, so I know it's probably not a great idea to be attacking that with helicopters. In the meantime, I'm slowly pushing up over here with 2 recon vehicles and a couple of Fuchs with Jaegers. These are the 2 Fuchs with Jaegers that I brought over here, but I've only kept 2 here, and well, with the sapper squad. I bring in another Fuchs just to basically defend this road again, as I lost the one that went down here. Just speed up the game a little bit. I spotted this recon vehicle moving down here, but fortunately I sort of preemptively put some units here which would cover this road. This road you can fast move down, and if he was to push any units up towards the FOB, these guys would spot them, and as they spotted those or that recon vehicle. At this point in the game, the points are actually quite even, as you can see. I've got 120 points and he's got 70 points, but I've completely outmaneuvered him in a way. You can see that I've got my sort of strong points. They're not necessarily great defensive lines, but I know I have enough to react to whatever he throws at me, because I haven't spent that many points. I had about 500 points throughout the entire game, and I never needed to spend them, which was quite cool. I'm not sure exactly how much he spent, but you can see here I send my looks forward and these things are fucking OP. And I take out a strop and something else, and then finally I go for the attack on his VRDM. He tries to pull it back, but the overpowered auto cannon of that takes us out before this BMP2 can take out him. Now he has a ATGM squad here, and I did spot it, so I quickly microed my Fuchs into the bush so that the one that they'd already fired didn't hit either one of my Fuchs. This Fuchs here I stopped behind these buildings so that my Jaegers can get into cover, while these act as a kind of distraction. I didn't intend on them getting hit, of course, but with them routing, they provide an excellent distraction so that my Jaegers can get in a good spot to take out that BMP2, which secures them 50 points, which is actually double what both, or well, not double, 10 points more of what both Jaeger squads with Fuchs were worth. So definitely worth it. Now over here you can see that these Fernspa, which were in the Fuchs that I brought in down here, have set up here, and you can see that I've spotted these units travelling towards hotel. Now in reaction to that, I've brought in 4 ITOs and a hemp to reload these two here in cover. And basically I'm not sure if he knew that I knew that they were there, but I could easily see them, and obviously my recon helicopter over here is still keeping an eye on the left side of the map. But if I zoom right out, you can see I actually have quite a lot of coverage around the map. With the Alpha command vehicle actually dead, I have a massive advantage because he doesn't have anywhere to reinforce from, and yeah, I was pretty lucky that my looks actually managed to take out that unit. Now his BRDM actually from Bravo scampers back into this forest, and I don't see it for the rest of the game, but what he does start to do is push up with his Su-122 54s. Now this is just as my M15-102 ITOs arrive, and luckily they are very fast on road, and they managed to get up here before his attack gets too far into hotel. You can see actually a massive fight starts to happen soon. Up here in the forest, I decide to pull back my Jaegers because they had considerably more in cover, and if I can pull them out of cover and then attack them again with the Jaegers, I will easily win. Now here you can see that the ITOs have set up and are starting to fire on these T-55 A and Bs mostly, and taking out the strops which are getting too close to my ITOs. Over here you can see that he's pushing forwards Su-122s into this forest here. My looks and Jaegers have fallen back, so they will be close enough to get accurate shots on them. I've brought in some Pattons. These are the cheapest Pattons you can get, only 30 each, to take care of these Su-122 54s, because these guys actually have 2 AP power. So they're going to do barely anything against the Patton, even though the Pattons only have 3 front armour. The ITOs also do really well with the help of the hemp reloading them. But these Pattons are the star of the show, and with these kind of rushes with low point units, Pattons are extremely effective defensive troops. Like, you can get the more expensive ones, like the Rise Pattons, which are good for attacking with, but the cheaper ones are really good for defending with. Now this Jaeger squad continues to go through little skirmishes throughout the rest of the game, but with this massive battle kind of finished, I've basically taken a massive lead. He still has a reasonable amount of units left, but he kind of makes the wrong decision in pushing his T-55A and Bs through this forest straight into my Jaeger squad, which takes them both out. His other SU-122s suffer the same fate. These two are left over though, as the HE power from these vehicles is actually reasonably good, but the Pattons just absolutely own this game completely. And now this Fuchs is searching for his last command vehicle. I'm playing this mode in actually a very different way to how I would my other games. I've got 1,500 points start with a 40-minute time limit, but the only way you can win is total destruction. So it's basically you have to destroy all the enemy command vehicles or wait for the 40-minute time limit. You'll be happy to know it doesn't last 40 minutes this game, which is one of the reasons I'm bringing this one to you today. But also I wanted to say that I will be bringing you Stormy soon, which is another map that I need to start practicing. But here you can see I've split up my Pattons now, and they are basically doing a rolling push through this forest. The reason for that is I know that he didn't have any infantry left after I destroyed the motor Shelky that I found back there, and I can just roll these Pattons through here now and take out the rest of the armoured vehicles in there. Now he brings up a Havoc. I'm not sure what he was trying to do with this, but I spot it quite quickly and I decide to bring in a couple of Gazelle cannons after I finish off with these Pattons. The reason I knew that they basically didn't have anything left was because I captured this supply truck, so it pretty much assured that there wasn't much left in there. These two Gazelle cannons, I basically brought them in to take care of the Havoc. They didn't really do enough damage to destroy it itself, so I decided to bring in a couple of Roland 2s, or just AMX-30 Rolands, not the Marder Roland 2s, but just the first equivalent of them, because I knew that they'd be quite close range. They didn't need the accuracy or armor. I just needed to shoot this thing down as quickly as possible before he moved it away. And with that you can see that my Rolands just shoot it down instantly with the help of the Gazelle cannon, which stunned it originally. Now I saw that he moved his command vehicle up into the top of Alpha along with all these APCs and infantry. So I know exactly where his last command vehicle is now. It's just a matter of finding it. He brings up over a couple of Mi-8Ts, which were gonna basically cover his Havoc originally, I suppose, against these Rolands, so that he would stun my Rolands so that they couldn't fire upon them. But what they did have in them, or what I didn't realise, was that those Mi-8Ts that came and attacked me had actually dropped off some VPZU, and he started charging them towards my Sultan, and I quickly noticed them and moved my Sultan back to a safe distance, while I brought in a couple of units of Fernspar to take care of these guys while my Lux uncovers them. Over on the left side you can see my Jaeger squad's finally been routed after taking care of quite a few units himself. I move my Lux over to the right side so that I have a better view on the entire compound. I split up my Fuchs so that I can sweep them through the buildings more effectively. I then unload them and proceed to attack the facility. Now as soon as my Fenspar spot these guys, my Lux has free reign to shoot on them, So with the support from the looks, both my Fernspar squads actually easily take out these VPZG. They both have exactly the same sort of stats. The Fernspar are slightly more accurate because the Fernspar don't actually have any AT weapon, so they get a better bonus versus infantry. Whereas the VPZG actually have a decent AT weapon, the RPG, with high accuracy. Anyway, with that done, I send my looks off again to go scout for more things and see where the rest of his units are. Decide to move my Sultan back into Foxtrot so I can bring in some reinforcements to take care of his command vehicle. Had this been one of the normal games I play where I have a 1,500 point victory limit, I would have won the game by now, and he does realise that and eventually leaves the game for me. But I'd like to thank him for, if you're watching, for being such a nice and respectful player. If anyone else wants to play me at some point, make sure you just add me on Steam or just find the game which I'm hosting, and hopefully I'll be able to play you at some point, and maybe I'll even record the game. Now what was annoying actually was this Sultan, even though I had it in this bush the first time, it didn't capture the sector, and I was wondering why I couldn't pull in reinforcements for some time. But be careful with Foxtrot, because even though this hedge line here is the best cover for Foxtrot probably, make sure your Sultan's further up this way, on this side of the hedge, not this side of the hedge, because if you look, the Foxtrot line isn't actually the same sort of, well, it doesn't basically match the hedge, so your Sultan further up on the right side of this hedge won't be in the command sector to capture it. So make sure you keep it on the left side. Obviously people are going to try and arty that, so there are places like in here where you can do it instead. But yeah, just make sure you get that captured properly. You can see I just sent my Fuchs into this town to see what's left there. These Jaegers are absolutely shot up, and there's one guy just standing there waiting for my command, and he was just standing there for the whole game, poor guy. I bring up a Gazelle cannon. This was sort of cannon fodder basically. This guy was going to fly straight over Alpha to see exactly what he had in this area here. So I knew exactly what I needed to attack him. And as you can see, I uncover a lot of APCs. I know exactly what's there, and I was basically just waiting to bring up some more soldiers, but with that he surrenders and leaves me the victory. So thanks to Nixon for not dragging out the game. It's very admirable of you. You can see here exactly there was 0 points to achieve, so I would have had to wait for the time to go all the way down. But I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Probably wasn't one of the most exciting games, but a lot of these practice games aren't very exciting, I've got to be honest. Where you have like 2v2s and 3v3s, where you have these big epic battles, in the 1v1s they don't tend to happen so much. So I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Maybe you learned something from it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.